broken, and that could happen this fall when North Dakota farmers harvest their wheat. Producers say weather conditions have been almost perfect since seeds went into the ground. Cliff Naylor reports on a crop with a lot of potential.
Lance and Dennis Renner have never seen anything like this.
Had quite a few spikelets on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Be about 14 to 16 spikelets on there.
These heads could produce 50 bushels of wheat an acre.
It's the nicest crop I've ever seen.
All across the state, farmers are seeing similar wheat stands. USDA is estimating North Dakota's wheat crop could average 48 bushels an acre, which would equal the state's best ever production.
We're very optimistic about this year's crop, and we'll see what happens. As growers say, it's not made till it's in the bin.
The growing season is far from finished, and Jim Peterson, the marketing director for the State Wheat Commission, says disease or an extended stretch of heat could still hurt the crop.
Everything's looking great.
North Dakota farmers planted 7.7 million acres of wheat this year. Now, all they have to do is wait and hope favorable weather conditions continue for a few more months. For West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Cliff Naylor.
Drought damaged much of the state's wheat crop last year when farmers yielded 39 bushels an acre. Josh, are we out of the woods with this drought yet?
I think so for the most part, Molly. We've seen some beneficial rains over the past couple months. It'll be refreshing.
All right, good deal. Thanks, Josh. Bismarck police are asking for your help in finding this man. Tavon Hess is 27 years old and suffers from mental health issues. He was last seen near his home Wednesday night in the area of Ithaca Drive and Century. Anyone with information should call 223-1212. The judge who sentenced the former Lemoore police chief to life in prison for continuous sexual abuse of a child is now backtracking. Stark County Judge William Haruff says he intended to give the Department of Corrections full control over how long a sentence James Watson serves. Prosecutors indicated that with a life sentence, Watson would have to serve at least 30 years minus time off for good behavior before becoming eligible for parole. The judge's remarks now throw that into question. A new hearing will be set next week to finalize the issue. A Washington state man is pleading guilty to robbing a bank in Stanley last April. According to court records, 43-year-old Jeremy Maines changed his plea to guilty this week. Investigators say Maines robbed an American Bank Center on April 6, 2017. They say he threatened several employees inside the bank and fled from Stanley, leading authorities on a chase through Montreal and Ward counties. The judge ordered the pre-sentence risk assessment. Maines is in custody in Montreal County. Police arrested a Minot pair late Wednesday night after finding them with large amounts of drugs and counterfeit money. Police questioned Lillian Ray and Troy Nalepovitz in Northwest Minot apartment about a reported disturbance and found 40 grams of meth in plain sight. Also in plain sight, 14 grams of heroin, drug paraphernalia, and nearly $4,000 in fake money. Both made their initial court appearance yesterday and face B felony drug charges. The race for North Dakota Senate is heating up, and it's on track to be one of the most expensive races in state history. Democratic Senator Heidi Heitkamp is maintaining a fundraising advantage over Republican challenger Representative Kevin Cramer. Heitkamp's campaign released figures this week to the Federal Election Commission indicating that she raised nearly $2 million in the second quarter and has more than $5 million on hand. Cramer's campaign says he raised more than $1.5 million during the reporting period and has nearly $2.5 million in the bank. North Dakota is hitting the gas on natural gas production. The state broke a new record in May with an all-time high of more than 2.3 billion cubic feet per day. And that's not the only sector thriving. John Salling has more.
In May, North Dakota had 14,755 producing wells like these, which is itself a new record. We also set a new all-time high in oil production, having produced more than 1.24 million barrels per day statewide.
As long as the weather cooperates and there are no major market disruptions, the expectations are that going forward, the activity is going to be such that it will produce record-breaking numbers of both crude oil and natural gas going forward.
The state has a minimum gas capture requirement of 85%, but in May, the industry fell short of this goal by 2 points, which could bring repercussions on the industry.
The only limiting factor there will be, are there going to be some production restrictions to try to deal with the natural gas?
In May, a North Dakota gas processing plant was offline for about 2 weeks. The plant was open throughout June. The Department of Mineral Resources hopes that it will see the gas capture percentage climb back up once the numbers for June come in. Governor Burgum released a statement saying, "This new oil production record confirms what we in North Dakota have known for some time. The Bakken is back." For West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm John Salling.
Meantime, McKenzie County on its own produces more barrels per day than most U.S. states. Well, 975 barrels of brine and 25 barrels of oil spilled from a tank 13 miles northwest of Keene, North Dakota on July 11th. It happened at the Sampson Oil and Gas USA. The spill was caused by a tank overflow. All product was contained on site. A site inspector has been on location and will monitor additional cleanup. 3 environmental groups are filing a lawsuit against North Dakota over an air quality permit allowing construction of an $800 million oil refinery near Theodore Roosevelt National Park. National Parks Conservation Association, the Environmental Law and Policy Center, and the North Dakota Resource Council claim the state made a mistake when it concluded the proposed Davis refinery wouldn't negatively impact the park. The plaintiffs will ask a judge to declare the permit invalid and send the case back to the state health department for further review. Job Service North Dakota says more than 1,400 businesses responded to the workforce development survey issued last month. Responses came from every county, and the data will now go to NDSU. The Workforce Development Council will give the recommendations to Governor Burgum in September. Burgum says he believes there are many more job openings in North Dakota than the 14,000 listed on the Job Service website. North Dakota teachers wrapped up the 5th annual Indian Education Summit earlier today. The summit looks at ways to improve education for Native American students. Andrew Horn reports.
The classroom is how education leaders aim to improve graduation rates and test scores for Native American students.
Every child should be able to come to school and see themselves in their day at school at some point.
Technology and Innovation in Education, a South Dakota-based company, created 7 essential understandings of tribal culture, responsibilities, and identity in 2015. Now they're rolling out in schools.
It's not a separate class. It's not like we now have essential understanding time. It's that it should be just integrated into their day.
Some school districts have already taken their own steps. Bismarck Public Schools hired Travis Albers as a cultural responsive coordinator. His job is to engage with kids all over the district and teach them about Native culture.
When you win the hearts and minds of teachers and communities by showing them the benefit of approaching it this way, then it's a long-term change.
Scott Davis says he's a strong supporter of programs like this, but funding will always be the issue.
Sessions coming up, January, policy, budgets, these are things that are going to be, a huge talk.
Davis, the son of a career educator, says he will press for funding. For West Dakota Fox, I'm Andrew Horn.
North Dakota Special Olympic team members are back from the National Games, and they're bringing home some hardware. 27 Special Olympians from the state participated in the Games in Washington last week. Team North Dakota won 5 gold, 7 silver, and 6 bronze medals. Bismarck-Mandan athletes include Shale Erickson in powerlifting, Aiden Meidinger in men's basketball, and David Joe in bocce ball. Bismarck teacher Kurt Weinberg is a powerlifting coach. Bismarck Police Department's K-9 is getting some new equipment. Mesa, the K-9 police dog, will soon have new protective bullet and stab-proof vests. The picture you see here is from a former BPD K-9 wearing the same vest Mesa will be receiving. Vests interested in K-9s is donating the vests. Each one costs about $2 grand. The group raises money through donations. Mesa is a certified patrol and narcotic detection dog. Bringing you an update tonight, Bismarck police say they have cited 3 teenagers for vandalizing Sleepy Hollow Park on Sunday. The responsibles posted their deeds on Snapchat, including a video of breaking a window and spraying gold paint in the dressing room. Sleepy Hollow canceled Sunday's theater performance because of the damage. Shows have since resumed. Still ahead, 12 Russians are charged with meddling in the U.S. election on behalf of Donald Trump. We'll show you what that means for the president's meeting with Vladimir Putin next week. President Trump is wrapping up his London trip and heading to Scotland for the weekend. Fox News correspondent Blake Berman has the latest from London.
Pomp and pageantry at Windsor Castle as Queen Elizabeth meets with President Trump and the First Lady. A military band giving the president a royal salute before playing the national anthem. But elsewhere in London, a different kind of excitement. Thousands of people taking to the streets to protest the president's visit.
He's a blatant racist and he's greedy. And he's a cheat. He's a thief.
The president telling the British newspaper The Sun that he felt, quote, very unwelcome in London. He avoided the center of the city Friday, instead visiting Sandhurst Military Academy and Prime Minister Theresa May's country home outside the city before heading to Windsor. One of the most talked about parts of the protest, the now infamous 20-foot-tall Trump baby balloon, which had to be approved by the mayor of London before it could be used. Many of the protesters specifically calling out Prime Minister May for welcoming President Trump to the country.
We've had a big sense of national pride, and Theresa May is just completely ruining it, holding hands with him again, just kind of legitimizing everything that he's said and done by treating him so cordially, really. So, yeah, an embarrassment.
The president will now spend most of his weekend at one of his golf courses in Scotland before his highly anticipated meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin in Finland on Monday. In London, Blake Berman, Fox News.
Today, 12 Russian intelligence officers are charged with computer hacking to sway the 2016 presidential election in favor of Donald Trump. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein announced the indictments a few hours ago. The charges are the result of an ongoing investigation by Special Counsel Robert Mueller into an alleged collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. The Russians are accused of hacking into the computer networks of the Democratic National Committee and the presidential campaign of Hillary Clinton. Vice President Mike Pence is in Chicago today. Pence is in town to deliver remarks at an America First event focused on the president's tax plan. The vice president will also attend a campaign event for GOP Congressman Peter Roskam. Pence will be in Grand Forks here at the end of the month. California firefighters are battling a 650-acre fire right now. The Stony Fire near Chico is only 5% contained. The fire jumped the containment line early Friday, but crews were able to get the line back under control. About 30 engines are responding to the blaze. Crews are also using tankers, bulldozers, and hand tools. It's unclear how the fire started. At least 6 wildfires are burning in California right now. Weather-wise, we're getting a serious warm-up. Knowing this weekend is going to be hot, Megan Van Baren shows us ways to stay cool.
The weekends are meant for heading outside and enjoying time with friends and family. But when the forecast calls for scorching hot temps, you may need to get creative with your weekend fun.
Roosevelt Pool, so we have a water slide and a kids splash area there, and the pool is open during good hours, during the hottest hours of the day, so people can come and enjoy that to cool off if they wish.
If hitting the water isn't your favorite, Ron Merritt says the parks have a lot of other options.
We also have trails, like our Woodland Trail out on the West Bypass goes through a shaded area, a wooded area along the river, so that's a nice option as well. Oak Park and Roosevelt Park are nice shaded areas as well.
Leslie Anthony says Hawaiian shaved ice is the summer staple and a great way to cool off.
It just helps to cool you down these hot days, and it's kind of humid and muggy, and it's just nice and refreshing. You can get our Hawaiian specialty, which has the vanilla ice cream on the bottom, then the shave ice on top, and you can choose whatever flavors you want.
There is one spot in Minot that a lot of people don't think about during the summer.
Indoor skating. We still have the ability for people to skate at the mesa. So if you really want to cool off, go and try that out. That really cools you off.
Keeping active while beating the summer heat. In Minot, for West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Megan Van Baren.
More on this hot weekend. Let's throw it over to meteorologist Josh Cattermuth. Well, they may grow up to be apex predators, but they sure start out cute. The Omaha Zoo unveiled its newest resident, a male pygmy hippo named Silas. Silas was born in April. Pygmy hippos are smaller than regular hippos. Silas weighs 80 pounds now, but soon he'll be up to 600 pounds. He's one of just 2 dozen pygmy hippos in North American zoos. He'll spend a year or 2 in Nebraska before packing his bags and moving elsewhere. All right, not a bad day to be in the hippo pond.
Not at all, especially with the humidity being low, Molly, and temperatures only in the 80s for the most part today. Temperatures cooling into the mid-60s for tonight. Light winds for the most part, except in southwestern North Dakota. Tomorrow, heat things up across the central portions of the state. 94 for a high, the capital city, 90 Minot. A little bit cooler in Williston, 89 as the cold front moves through a little bit earlier in northwestern North Dakota. Again, we could have some severe storms Saturday evening, and temperatures nice and warm next week.
All right, if you're going to Country Fest, I'll see you there. Otherwise, have a great weekend.